Hello, good morning and welcome. Welcome to the episode 26 of Toria's Cozy Toes. I'm Vicky, I'm a knitter and a crocheter living in Derby in the United Kingdom. And this is my little bit of the internet where I talk about all the things I've been getting up to with my crafting over the last few weeks. It's 3 weeks since I last recorded, which is an average for me. And yeah, so what have I been getting up to? Quite a bit, actually. I'm looking at the pile next to me. There's some finished objects, there's some new cast-ons, and this time, or the last 3 weeks, I have actually fixed a few things. So yeah, we're going to start with some of the stuff that I've been doing. Shall we start with what I finished? Because, as I say, I've actually finished not one thing, not two things. I have finished 3 things. So let's have a look. First of all, we have this bag, my little penguin bag, and this contains my undulation mitts, which I've actually put onto my mitten blockers, but I can only find one of the thumbs. So there, these mittens. You can see this beautiful cable pattern that gives this nice lozenge pattern. So that's really nice, and I really like the pattern. I've talked about these last time. So they are left and right. So last time I'd got one complete glove, and I was here where my little marker is, right at the bottom of the right hand glove, which was the second one I did. So we can take that off now. It's almost a bit warm for these this time of year, but never mind. They're ready for the autumn. Put that in my bowl. So I did talk about these last time in the terms of, this is a pattern from Life is Cozy. Sorry, my pattern notes are here. I made this one repeat longer at the bottom here, and I also made it one repeat longer at the top here. The idea being I wanted a slightly longer fitting glove, which is what I've got. And as I say, I do have the pair now. Sorry, I've got hay fever, it's annoying me. So here we go, there's the pair of them. All done. So this is yarn from Creative Anarchy. The ball band's got a little bit creased while it's been in the bag. And it's the Queen of the North colourway in 100% superwash merino. So yeah, having made those gloves, I actually still have this much yarn left, which is 58 grams. So quite a bit left. What's this playing at? Sorry, my computer's just playing up. Sorry about that. I'll try and edit that bit out when my computer's playing out. So as I was saying, I have 58 grams, which is actually quite a lot. Because this is 100% merino, it's not really ideal to put into my scraps. So what I think I'm going to do is possibly do a sockhead beanie type hat with it. There's enough there for, certainly for a smaller size, probably for an adult one to be honest, because as I say, it's a reasonable amount of yarn. So we'll keep hold of that. And we'll pop these. As I say, if I take, you saw the left one last time, and the left one doesn't fit so well because of my watch. If I take that off, I can actually put it on. And you can see, sorry, the sun is shining right on me from the window, which is may or may not be helping the colours, but you can see this gorgeous cable pattern all the way up there. I absolutely love this. The other thing is, putting it on, I remembered, I made the thumb a bit longer because again, I wanted a bit more coverage on my thumb. As I've said before, if you've been around a while, I will have to wear short sleeve sheet tops for work, which is fine, but when I'm then driving in the car, it gets a bit chilly sometimes. Or even just walking between car parks and hospitals can be cold. So something like this is ideal. So I'm really pleased to have got those done, and say that was one of my 12 cast-ons from this year, which is complete, done, finished. And yeah, that's another project off the needles. So really pleased at that. So I'm just going to put those to one side. I'll finish sorting them out later. That will be down there because it's easier. So that was my first finished project. And that was one of this year's projects, in that when I split my projects, I decided my year finished on the 23rd of December, so that everything I cast on for my 12 cast-ons from the 24th of December were this year projects. Everything pre that date was last year's project. So yeah, you can see the mountain behind me. Quite a bit of that's the fixed stuff, but there is another finished project there, and that is another one that you saw last time, and that's my Tydes cardigan. So try and hold it so you can see it. Last time you saw this sleeve was all the way down here. So this light's really dodgy. And the other sleeve, because of the way I'd done it, was all the way down there. So I have done quite the same on both sleeves. I've finished both sleeves there. They're done. So this is a pattern by the Creabea Designs, Rebecca Clow. Or Clow. I'm just taking my markers out while I talk to you. I say, you look at all the pictures of it, it's done in stripes. It's an all-over lace cardigan. I would say, I certainly struggled at the beginning, but once I'd put markers in, it was actually a relatively intuitive lace pattern, and it had a quite nice repeat. It was quite rhythmic. It's particularly when I was doing it in the round, I really enjoyed it on the sleeves, because you're only doing something, you weren't doing it every row. It's over so many rows. It's paid for. I don't want to give too many details away. But I made it, didn't want stripes. I made it into so I made it in one colour. So I made it in this gorgeous strut green. It's back there. This has now all been properly soaked and blocked. I know I said last time I'd spray blocked the body section. I have now done the entire thing. The only thing is I'm slightly tight on that cast off, so it does pull it up a little bit. But to be honest, chance of me wearing this done up is slim. I will wear this over something like I've got on today, t-shirt and jeans. I did put some buttons on it. It's got these nice little flowers you can just see. There's a little bit of glitter in them, but there's nothing too much because I didn't want them to detract from the cardigan. And I say, I think in an all-over colourway, if you can see it, I think this pattern works really well. I know it's designed to be done as a stripe, but I think in a real one colour, yes, it's hand dyed, so it's got a bit of variation on it, but nothing much. And I think it looks really nice like this. And I would I do it again? Probably. I'm going to say probably. As I say, certainly the fact that I probably do it in DK rather than 4-ply, because in 4-ply, where this was done in 4-ply, is a DK weight pattern. This yarn is it's a merino single mohair mix. Unfortunately, I seem to have misplaced the ball bands because I cleared the project bag out when I finished everything. So it's a yarn that really did bloom, and it's bloomed and it's filled it, it shows the lace. So you can imagine doing that round. It's a lot of stitches in the body. It is bottom up, which, while I like a bottom up pattern, I find it harder to judge the length on them sometimes. So yeah, as I say, whether I would do it again, I'm not 100% on. But it's used so little yarn, it's amazing. I probably would do it with something like a fingering and a mohair rather than 3DK or a fingering and a suri alpaca if I was going to do it again, but certainly not in the immediate future. So how much yarn have I used? Well, I had 400 grams of this strut. I still have an entire 100-gram cake. I know it doesn't look particularly pretty. It wasn't the easiest yarn to wind. And then putting it in the sleeve, didn't like. And there's about 40 grams there on that cake, which means I've used 260 grams roughly for a cardigan for me. It's super light, it's super warm. It's super warm, this is the first time I'm really wearing it, but it's filling what I want as a sort of lightweight summery cardigan. Yes, it's got the mohair in, but I'm hoping that as I wear, that'll be fine. There is a little bit of a line you can see from blocking. That should just drop out a bit more as I wear it. If it doesn't, I might just spray it a little bit just to see if I can take that off. Yeah, but I'm really pleased with it. Again, I've made it longer than the pattern. pattern's very much a waisted pattern. I wanted it, I say, more really for t-shirts and jeans is my plan for this one, which means I wanted it to hit my hips, which it does. If I get a chance, I'll try and take some video later and pop it in, just hear about of me wearing it. So yeah, really super pleased to have got this off the cat needles. As I say, this became very close at the end of last year to being frogged, and I'm so pleased I didn't. And as I say, because it's a pre-2026 project, finished as well, it's not quite the longest project on my needles. I've got some blankets, 3 blankets I think are older, and I've got one shawl that's older as well. So actually it is one of my older projects finished, which I'm really pleased at. So yeah, that's project 2 finished. I'm going to take it off more because actually I'm going to need to put other things on in a bit. But yeah. So yes, really pleased with that. Going to be wearing that now. It's going into my wardrobe. I'm wearing it this weekend, to be honest, because it's that sort of time of year. So that's 2 finishes. Those are both finished projects in their entirety because the project was to knit a pair of fingerless mitts, a cardigan. The next one, the project was not just to knit one thing. Again, it's something you saw in my last episode. And this is, I have not just finished this sock you saw last time. I actually found my blockers this time. No, this has still got its markers on. I've also finished the second sock. So this is the second sock. So we have a pair-ish. These are all going to be sister socks. None of them are going to match. We have a pair-ish. So last time you saw this, I was here. So now, as I say, the first pair of these are done. Now I think this is, it's either Fruit Punch or Can. I can't remember which colourway, but never mind. I've got a ball band in here for the range. So this is not the right ball band, I know, but it's King Cole. This is a different colourway because I just scribbled some information on the back here, which isn't true anymore anyway. So yeah, it's King Cole Summer. As I say, I have this, as I said, I sort of went to this project a lot last time, so I'm not going to go into all the details so much this time, except to say yes, my first pair is finished. This one I'm going to keep my markers on. This is my template sock. This one I'll probably take markers off, and yeah, once I get a bit further on, I'll get another one that matches similar to this. I'll wear it as a pair. So yeah, as I say, my goal is to make 6 pairs of these socks. Now there is a snag to this. My previous socks have all been under the 50-gram mark. This time, sorry, my needles are there because I used Magic Loop for my socks. I've only got 47 grams of this left. However, I am going to start and make the next sock out of it, and the one after that. The one after that will probably need a little bit of something at the end. I'm 90% certain, having sorted through, that there's a little bit left from the first ball. So the colourway that band's from. I'm also fairly certain at least one of the ones that's half ball is way over half a ball. Haven't weighed either of those, but yeah, I'm fairly certain that's the case. So it'll be a case of, if I need to put a little bit of different at the toe, I'll put a bit different at the toe for the final sock. And I might need to do that on the pinky purple ones as well. And I know why that's happened. And it's to do with the fact that these are slightly big on my blockers. Because this is a finer yarn, I've gone down to 2mm needles, and I think all the others are on 2.25. I've made the sock longer, and I've also made the sock longer because having worn the others, particularly my original pair, I find them a bit short and they slip down. So I made them longer so they didn't do that. And I think that's why I've used a bit more yarn. Not a problem. As I say, I've got some left from others. We'll just have some different colour toes. None of these are going to match because, you see, this one I've just finished, which is my second one. I've just finished on the green, so I'm going to start in green. Well, neither of these two start with green. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, not a problem. I'd like to get that sock cast on today because I do find it easier to do this little cuff bit at home rather than when I'm out and about. So yeah, I'd like to get the next one cast on because, I say, This is the first pair of 6. We're already in April. That means we've used we're halfway through April. That's 4 months of the year. And in 4 months of the year, I should have done 2/3 of my socks, which is 2 pairs. And I haven't. So really would like to get a push on with these, especially the ones I want to wear in the summer. We're coming into that weather and I'm wanting the shorty socks. Now, saying that, I'm actually going to jump to a cast on at this point because one of my cast ons does link to this project. So just before Easter, I was quite close to the end of this second sock. I hadn't quite finished it, but I was like, I'm going to finish that over Easter. It's not going to be, I'm going to finish it. It's not a problem. I want to finish it. But because, as I've said, I think I've said before, my mum and sister live next door to each other. So when I'm up at my mum's, quite often I'm taking my knitting between the 2 houses. And I have to be a little bit careful about what I knit when my nieces are around, because they want my attention too. They want me to be able to put it down, play with them. So what I did was I grabbed another sock project bag, which is this, my lovely Harris Tweed one from the Woolly Tangle. Sorry, it's a little bit, it's just had a bath for various reasons. So I actually pulled out one of my half balls. So I pulled out the Neptune. I think this is just over half. It still smells. These are going to have to be one. I had something leak in my bag, in my handbag, which when these were in there. I've washed the project bag, but I've realised that, yeah, it still smells a bit. So I cast on, just before Easter, the cuff of the first of these socks. Let's again look at markers on this side, which are following the markers on my template sock. So I thought if I get the first of these ones on, then if I finish that, I've not got to do this fiddly cuff bit around anyone. I can just pick it up, carry on knitting it, which is what I did. So I say this one, I'm nearly finished this section, about to go on to the next set. I've got one more section after this before the toe. So this is the Everyday Socks by Knitwear by Rachel, I believe. And I say all 6 pairs are going to be the same pattern. It's just a case the colours are going to differ. So yeah, as I say, getting this one finished and the second one of these on is something I'd like to do. In fact, this is an acquisition as well. I realise it's an acquisition as well. Because I did buy a second set of 2mm needle tips so that I could get this cast on, knowing that I was going to need something over Easter. So yeah, that's cast on, but that was a finish. So really pleased at that. So pop those out of the way. I'm going to have a quick slip of my water. Yes, it's one of the SHO insulated cups. I use these a lot because they keep my water cold and I like that. So yeah, so having finished 3 things, what did I do? I really wanted to cast on a couple of things. But I decided I also had a list of things that needed fixing. So there are a number of things that needed me to just spend between 10 minutes and a few hours fixing them to make them better, make more of what I wanted. So the first thing I fixed was not for me. All the way over here in this bag, because there's a whole load of stuff in this bag, including the thing I fixed. It's my mum's jumper. So if you've been watching for a while, you'll know the story of this. I know there's some new subscribers who may not know the story, that my mum came to me last 18 months ago-ish, said, I've seen this jumper, can you replicate it? With no pictures, no photos, and basically a description. And this is the jumper. So there's the front. You can see the sleeve there with the shepherd. Bring the shepherd to show you a bit better. There's the shepherd with his sheep. I say, because it goes around the arm, it's not so easy to see that one. There's the angel on the other sleeve, and the back has the wise men. Now, the body of this is in YarnSmith's Merino DK. The colours are a mixture of YarnSmiths and Scapias, possibly one other one, I'm not sure. I did this last year. I can't remember what yarns I've used, but when I finished it, I'd said to my mum originally, I thought this neckline was too big. So it's too big. It just looks big. You're going to find it too big to wear. My mum wears jumpers without anything much underneath in the winter. And she wore this over Christmas time. She said she had lots and lots of really complimentary comments about it, including someone asking if I'd machine knit because of how regular it was, and how neat it was and everything else, which is amazing. But she said to me when I went up at Christmas Day Eve, was it Christmas Eve? No, when I went up there, she said, it is too big for me. I did bite my tongue, everyone. I did not turn around and say, told you so, which felt like doing. So I've basically taken the neckline out, re-knit the neck. You can see here I've reduced the number of stitches, just to bring it in a little bit more. I'll be honest, I did insist she washed it before I had it for altering, and then all I've done is spray it with the blocking spray just to calm the stitches back down. So I know, again, I've kept it as a folded neckline, so you can see there where it's folded. There is a bit of shearing elastic on the inside, so this inside of the rib doesn't look as neat as the outside, and that's more again because there's quite a lot of weight with all the duplicate stitch on it, so I was worried about that pulling at the neck too much. And by knitting the elastic in, it just gives it that bit more structure. So that is fixed. As I say, it's in the bag, ready to go back to Mum, so she can look after it till she wears it at Christmas. So that probably took about 2 or 3 hours by the time I unpicked the bind off, picked up my stitches, ripped out, picked it back up, worked out the decrease rate and everything else. But that's done. So that was the first fix. So one fix done. I guess next fix was my hoodie. And I don't even know if I can find where the print was. But you may remember this. I made the traveller hoodie. It's pattern by Andrew Mary. My hood's now gone. Hey, yeah, there's a hood. I made it longer in the body. I brought the sleeves in, didn't make it as much of a drop shoulder as you're supposed to have, because I felt that wasn't what I wanted. And one of the sleeves, shoulders, and I can't remember, I think it was this one. You can't see it now. Where I'd done the shoulder seam, I think it's a 3 needle bind off. Again, I'd made this last year sometime, I can't remember. But anyway, it had not picked the stitch up properly. Hadn't realised, and it just made a little hole. It wasn't much. It was one of my friends noticed it, a knit group. Immediately got home, put a little light bulb stitch marker in, and then, as I say, you can't see what I've done, but I've dealt with that basically and repaired it. So that is now wearable again. I have been wearing it because I say I do love this hoodie. I think it's a lovely hoodie. Doesn't go with what I'm wearing today. So that's fix 2. That was 3 because there were 3 finishes, so there's 3 fixes. The final one was this, and I've got a little bit more to talk about with this one. So this is my pressed flowers cardigan. Now, I don't know, you might be able to see where I fixed it. I don't know, you can actually. Look closer, you can. If I hold it really close, you can sort of see. But from about there, the grey changes and looks slightly different. Now, believe it or not, it's the same yarn. It is exactly the same yarn. This cardigan, and I'm going to try and put some pictures in, because it was really annoying me because the sleeves were too short. So I'm going to try and put a picture in here of me with the short sleeve on. So what I did was, again, picked up here at the bottom of where the original sleeve was. So this was the original sleeve. These were the original flowers. Then I put in 2 more flowers. Now, these 2 actually mirror the bottom 2 flowers on the cardigan. And this is the next one from the advent. So this was, move things around because I've buried it. So again, I used Yarn Smith's Merino, DK for the body. There we are. In shade 3005. I made this with an advent from the Discreet Unicorn from 2024. But I was very naughty in my advent. Because I had it in time, I actually opened it as a birthday countdown because I wanted to see the 24 colours and decide on the ordering in my cardigan. So the body, you can just see here, I have knit each flower row is a separate colour all the way up the body. The top of the sleeves I put in an extra colour here, and then work the way down. Now, because of the amount of colour I'd used here, and I've knit this in DK weight gauge with a 4-ply advent, so I was holding my yarn double. You start at the top here with three sets of these in that colour, and then it decreases down. Certainly by that point, that one is as well. I'm not sure that one. So you've only got 2 sets in each of the colours, and there's only enough yarn for 2 sets. So, as I say, when I was clearing out my yarn, no, that sounds wrong. I will come to it in a bit, but I have continued with recording what yarn I've got. I found my advent. So that's my grey. I then found the advent here. So if I work it out, so you can see there's actually colours I haven't used in this advent, but the yellows and oranges, which really don't do me any favours. I believe that is where the advent started, and these were the last few days, which is to say, because I was able to see the whole thing before I did my cardigan as my birthday cast on, I was able to plan it a little bit, so I didn't use these ones. So these are the ones I've not got very much left off at all. Excuse me, these ones I've got loads of left because I've not touched them. Not quite sure what I'm going to do. I am sort of umming about doing a 4-ply cowl using this pattern, with something, putting something dark, possibly a navy blue. I think I've got a navy blue yarn smith sock, and having lots of bright and then not so much of the other colours. I'm not quite sure. Sort of umming, doing something with them, probably for gifting, because I say they're not my colours, but yeah, as I say, they're all in this little, it's one of the sock bags from Yarned Out, just because I'm keeping them all together. So yeah, I said I'll try and put the pictures in. I've got a couple of pictures, one showing where the sleeve finished. When I'd done one sleeve, I actually got a picture showing the difference in length for what I added, and then you can see a picture of it on me as well. So I'll try and remember to put those pictures in. But this now is a much better length when I put it on. The other thing I did, I had these beautiful buttons. No, take one out back there, which I put on this cardigan. You can see the colour of it particularly. You can see it there. So it's pinky purple. They didn't go. They're beautiful. They're the right size. I'd left them on the cardigan because I bought them, put them on, and then decided they didn't go. So the other fixed thing I did was I actually put these buttons on. So I took the buttons off, put some new ones on. These are, you can just see they've got a little iridescent sparkle. But again, they pick up on the sparkle in the coloured yarn without overpowering the cardigan. It is 1 button short at the moment. And that's because these buttons were on a different cardigan that I have thrown in the bin. It was an acrylic cardigan, it's come up massive and it's stretched, it's hideous. And I just like, no, it's going. But I did, because I've bought these beautiful buttons for it, I took those off, and as I say, I've put them on here. I will because I got them on Etsy from a place called the Magpie's Eye, I have ordered some more, so that I've got that extra button to finish the cardigan off. So 7 buttons and 7 buttons rather than where we are at the moment, which is, you can't really see it there. Yeah. So if I unroll it, you can see they don't quite match up, but it doesn't matter. As I say, I love this cardigan. I've worn it loads. To be honest, if it stays dry today, which it might, this is UK springtime, it really needs a wash. And I think that will help with the sleeves as well, if I give it a good wash and good soak. So yeah, 3 finishes, 3 fixes. You've already seen 1 cast on, but there's been 2 more. 3 again. Lots of 3's in this podcast. So, what else did I cast on? If you watched last time, you might have guessed. I couldn't wait. I couldn't resist. I don't care that I've got that many cardigans on the needles. Cast on another one. I cast on my Firefly. Now, not only did I cast the Firefly on just over a week ago, I've actually got finished back here. You can just see it's beautiful colours. And pinks, purples, come on. It's got this little detail on it. You see some detail on this? So yeah. So this is it King Cole Firefly? It's a Firefly yarn, and it's the Violet Drop Wing colourway. And I'm making this little jacket, but I'm not putting these ties on because I don't like the ties. I want it doesn't go with this one I'm wearing today particularly, but when I wear a dress, I want a little waisted cardigan that I can put over a dress as a layer in the summer, you know, sitting outside it's dropped or whatever. So yeah, so I have actually made it ever so slightly shorter than the pattern because I do want it a bit more waisted than the pattern so it shows. And it's Aran weight, so it's knit up quite quickly once I sorted out what I was doing because I messed up the bottom first time. So I've used a ball and a half to do the back. And as I say, I've done that in about a week. Just over a week since I cast it on. I cast it on Thursday. Yeah, I think it was the Thursday a week ago. Is it? Yeah. A week ago Thursday, so yeah, 9 days. But when I cast it on, I hadn't done the sleeve. And so I spent most of those sleeves did take about 4 hours. So quite a lot of my knitting, if not more, quite a lot of my knitting time last weekend was doing the sleeves. So you know what? Apart from that, I've done the back. I reckon speed this knits up. I reckon I can have the fronts done in a week and a half. Sleeves in another couple of weeks. I reckon that. I'm not promising a finished item next time I record, but I reckon it'll be close. I reckon it'll be very close because I reckon, you know, through. Cast on number 2. So I have got a third cast on. Now, unfortunately, I've had a look. The pattern for my third cast on is no longer available. I've had this pattern for 10 years plus. I've knit it 4 times, I think, in the past. Try and work it out. So this is the pattern. And it's the Proposition Entralac gloves. As it says, not for the faint of heart. Now, you can see this picture where she's knit it. Sorry, it's folded because it does go into the pattern quite quickly. In a Noro yarn with a slow colour change. I think the first time I did it with a Zauber ball. I did it with one of the really bright fluorescent wedges they did. I can't remember what the other was. There was one skein. But then I did one back in 2018. I did this. I did one like this. So this is one of the gloves. I got one. This was done with a mini skein set where I had 3 mini skeins of the purple and 3 of the white and purple blotched. I know I used all 3 of the purple. I don't think I finished them. Definitely used good chunks of them, and I only used 2 of the white. What I actually thought, I was looking at this, because I do wear these quite a lot. They're really lovely long. I haven't quite knit the full amount, but they're really long fingerless mitt. I love it. I think the only thing I would like, and maybe what I'll do this time, is make that ribbing a bit longer. If I make the square and then put the ribbing on, I might do that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd like them a bit longer at the top. I love them. I wear them loads. And I was looking at what I wanted to do with my Formula 1 yarns. Because as I said, I wanted a pair of fingerless mitts to go with my cowl. And eventually the hat, although they're not going to match. I don't care. It's all part of that yarn collection. So, I have cast on. Right. These fingerless mitts. So there is the first one. So I've done the bottom round, done the rib, done the first round of triangles, and done 1 round of squares on that one. The second one, I'm partway through the first round of squares, so I'm not quite as far. Because I know I think I used 60 grams of the purple, I was a bit worried about using one colour as the main for both. So I've decided, do you know what? This collection doesn't go away. Let's make them sisters or mirror twins. So I've done the rib in one, so I'm opposite, switching the colours round. My words are not there, are they? Switching the colours round. So what yarns these are from the Truly Hooked Formula 1 collection. This is the Williams inspired yarn, the blue one, and the green one is the Mercedes inspired yarn. So in my project bag, in fact, there's the blue Williams, which is attached to what I'm working on. And there's the Mercedes. And so my plan is to alternate. So when I finish the Williams on this one, I'll put Williams in on that one. You'll then put Mercedes in on that one and Mercedes in on that one. Just work the two at a time. So this is the Truly Hooked logo. And the two yarns, so the Williams one, this is the Williams one, the blue one, is called, they've got quite long names, I will just warn you that. Signing a driver is a lot like dating. It starts with texting and ends in a hotel room. And then the Mercedes one says, is anyone else reporting rain? I think it's sweat inside my helmet. And they're both quotes from the characters. So the helmet one is from George Russell, and the signing driver is from James Vowles, who's the team principal of Williams. George Russell is a driver for Mercedes. I'm watching Drove from Williams, which is kind of another link on my mitts. So I say these I've not done lots on. I'd like to get them done. They're not really a handbag project because they are a little bit more complicated, but they can be a knit group project. So, yeah, 3 cast-ons. I said 3. I've done a lot of things in 3s this 3 weeks. I've worked on one other project. I had a bit of a think and just a bit of a stop and a think. I've got 4 blankets on the go. I've not really touched many of them. So I've got 2 mitre square blankets. I've got my hexagon season blanket, and I've got my imagination quilt. I have decided with the imagination one that although I'm going to work on it, I'm not making it a priority this year because I think I said last time the Dyer, who the Advent yarn came from that I'm used, is doing a similar Advent this year, which will go with it, so I can make it bigger. So I've sort of said, well, yeah, I could work on it, but actually let's prioritise working on something else. What one am I going to prioritise? So I've decided to prioritise the Crochet Seasons Hexagons blanket. And I've got the bag here. I'm currently on my 4th month, and I've done 3 of the 5 colours on my 4th month. What I've worked out I'm going to do is each Sunday I'm going to spend a couple of hours crocheting. I did it last Sunday. I managed 3 and a bit hexagons. Say a bit because I think I'd already started one, possibly or not. I'll put the bit in the multicolour, don't I? Just 3 bits. So I'm thinking actually, if I can do 1 colour per Sunday, that will get me through some of them. And it also means I've got some to take on holiday, and I can kind of, because my older niece wants to crochet, so yeah, fun. So yes, my goal is, as I say, to do 1 colour per Sunday, with a view that means that in a couple of weeks' time I can block all of March's and put them away, start then on May's, and then April's and May's. And again, that means that in 12 weeks I can then look at joining the next quarter. And I think that's just a way I can work through it without feeling like it's overwhelming me, because it has been feeling a bit like there's a lot sitting there. I'm just not touching stuff. I'm not doing anything at the moment. And I need, certainly focusing on 1 or 2 projects has helped. So that's what I need to do. So yeah, there has been a titty bit of incoming. So the incoming there has been sprinkling still. So I can take it out now. Some of you may have heard or may have seen that the dye behind Spin and Bleather is unfortunately hurt a thumb and is going to have surgery, so therefore won't be dyeing pretty much this year. I think she said she's certainly not doing an advent this year, which is a shame because I really enjoyed her last year, and especially as that was the first time I'd filmed her. I bought more from her. I bought a bit more because so she's had a bit of a sale. She sort of before she closed everything down, she'd had a bit of sale to get rid of stuff over the Easter weekend. So I was away. I didn't have a clue what I'd got. And I bought 2 sets of sock yarn. So the first one is Sunshine on a Cloudy Day, which I got with a grey mini. This, you can probably see, it's also striping. It's a 12 stripe repeat. It's pretty much, it's going to be a grey rainbow stripe. So yeah, I really like rainbows, as you can tell from lots of things. So I thought that'd be really nice. Whether it's socks or what, I don't know. And then I also got this one. I'm not so keen on the yellow with it. Don't think the orange mini goes particularly well. I think it's the wrong yellow for that one. So that may not get used with it. But this is Joy de V, and it's a 7 stripe repeat. I really like the fact it tells you how many stripes you're expecting. When you actually see this, you could see all of these knitted up samples and it looks really good. So I'm not so keen on the yellow with it. That's partially because I'm not a keen yellow person, but yeah. So yeah, 2 lots of self-striping sock yarn have come in. I also got, could be really useful, this leather. So it's a ruler, and it's got a needle gauge on it, book size. Not necessarily something I'd wear, but something I'd have in project bags, etc. as a bit of a guide. It's not necessarily, probably would get a proper tape measure out, measure if it was accurate, needs to be accurate. Needs to be an idea anyway, was my thought. And I got some more fibre, which I really have no reason to get fibre at all because I've not been playing with my width as I should be. But this is Bergschaft wool from an Austrian. So yeah, it's quite a bulky nature, it says. There's 101 grams of it, so bought some fibre as well, because why not? Why not? Hey, you know, that's what happens, isn't it? Happens. Who cares? I don't. So yeah, just a little bit of income at this time. I'm really going to try not to be buying too much yarn over the next few months. I've got. And going on to that, so I know I showed you last time my book. I said I was going to go through all my yarn and I'd started it. I have now gone through all bar 1 box of my yarn. The 1 box I haven't gone through, I'm 99% certain is 100%. It's mostly acrylics, and I've not looked at that box. I've also not gone through my scrap bins. I know I've got 4 of them. That's partially because they're split by weight. But yeah. So Easter Monday, I'd been up at Mum's, I'd come back and decided I'd just do a box or 2 from under the sofa. Yeah, box or 2 from under the sofa. Ended up with everything out, which I know I'd said I wasn't going to do, but it meant that what I've done is, see, I have all my different yarn types here. So we've got hand-dyed sock yarn, commercial sock yarn, hand-dyed 4-ply that's non-sock, commercial DK, sport weight, lace weight, Aran weight, one is commercial 4-ply. So it's not sock weight, particularly sock yarn, but it's commercial 4-ply because I have got a few bits that fit into that category. So the idea is, it says 2026 at the bottom here with a little colour. Any yarn I take out this year, I will colour with that highlighter so I know it's come out. And we have This is rather obscene, I'm very aware. And I have put in these ones here, which just finished my 3 pages of sock yarn, hand-dyed sock yarn. So then we come into my commercial sock yarn. Got a bit more of that than I thought. Didn't realise quite how much I'd got of that. This is my then non-sock 4-ply that's hand-dyed. Not quite so much of that, it's just a page of that. So then we come into this is my commercial DK. Now a lot of these you'll see have got a little tick to say they're part used. And that's because they're ones I've used for things like my mum's jumper where I've used a little bit for duplicate stitching, but I've not used all of it by a long way. So just tells me it's not full ball. So it's only 1 page of that. So this is then sport weight. Really not got very much sport weight. It's not a weight we get a lot in the UK, but I've got have a bit lace weight. I've got a couple of bits of lace weight. Some are leftovers, some aren't. This is my Aran weight. I've got 1 Aran weight, and that's actually a jumper's worth or cardigan's worth. And then these are my other 4-ply. So I've got things like Drops Alpaca 4-ply. I've got some Scapies Catonia. Got some Wool Tops, mainly sort of naturally colours. So they are commercial rather than hand-dyed. So yeah, as I say, the idea is that obviously it's more paging, but I can feel the book. No, I can't feel the book. I will feel the book eventually. But the idea is it's like I'm going to have another set of sock yarn, I think, because that's full. But it means that I know I've got. I've realised how obscene what I've got is. I have got some that I've pulled out to get rid of. But I've also then now have. So this is my storage unit. You can just see this box here. So that one says hand-dyed sock yarn. I know exactly what's in that one. That one is hand-dyed non-sock yarn. No, that's commercial sock yarn. And I can go through all my boxes and now know where things are. Saying that, what I would love to do is actually get all the boxes of hand-dyed sock yarn out and get all my self-striping yarn together, get all my different yarns together. Yeah, it wasn't happening on them. I was more concerned just getting stuff put away. But yeah, I could do that now because I know all the boxes are labelled of what they've got in them, which is an obscene amount. Anyway, I'm going to say this is not to show you how much and go look at what I've got. This is me going, actually, let's be respectful. Let's be honest about what I've got, honest about what I need to use, and work out how I'm going to use. So yeah, really, this nearly 50 minutes. Gosh, we're coming up to the end of the podcast now. As I say, life-wise, there's not been a lot going on. Life's going to ramp up with other things going on over the next few months, but at the moment, just carrying on as normal. My goals for next time, I say I'd like to get that Firefly cardigan done because that I want to wear that in the summer. I also now need to choose a new 4-ply cardigan to work on. Having finished the Tydes, as I said, I was going to try and have 1 4-ply cardigan chugging along in the background. So we've got 3 options for that. There's my shawl hooded cardigan, which is really well, it's going to get into the fun stuff soon because you can start doing the fun, putting the body on and things. I'd quite like to do that because I've got ideas for doing a second one of those. Of course I have. I'll talk about that when I come to it. I've got my pressed flowers cardigan, my lower contrast one, which is navy and green. I'd love to get on with that actually because I'd really like that to wear over the summer. I've also got my Advent one from Truly Hooked, which is just a simple raglan marling the colours as I change the colour fade as I go through the Advent. So I think it's a case of which one am I going to work on? See, technically 2 of those are this year's cast-ons because they're from my 12 cast-on list. I found my list here. Yeah, 2 of them are for my 2026 cast-ons, and 2 of them are from the other one's an older cardigan. But if I look at my older projects, in fact, I have not marked off that one as complete. Quick, mark it off as complete. When was it completed? It was what block last Saturday. We're going to say the 10th. So I look at my old ones. I've got, say, 3 blankets. So I've got 2 cardigans, a hat and a shawl. That's actually not that much. I look at my 12 cast-ons, so my gloves were cast on 10. That is now finished. So yeah, it's a case of do I pick up another one from my 12 cast-ons, or do I go back to my older one? My older one's a navy. Navy one's there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I need to make a decision. I mean, 2 are top down and 1's bottom up, which makes me think go top down because yes, there's long rows, but it'll come down. I might pick the Truly Hooked Advent actually. Should we go for the Truly Hooked Advent cardigan? Because actually getting that chunk on. Tell you what, let's do that for the next 3 weeks, and I can always change my mind at 3 weeks and decide I'm putting it away. As it will be 3 weeks when I record again, just because stuff's going on. Until then, I hope everyone stays well, your knitting goes well, and yeah, enjoy anything shows you're going to over those few weeks. I'm possibly going to Buxton, I'm not quite sure, but I have only one thing on my shopping list for that, which is a knitting oddie, and I'm thinking actually going to a show and getting the feel of something rather than ordering online might be a better option for me. So yeah, that's it. So I'll see you in 3 weeks. Bye.